Maya sat on the edge of her hospital bed, staring at the X-ray that had just shattered her world. The fracture in her spine wasn't just a medical diagnosis, it was the end of everything she'd worked for. For 15 years, she'd poured her soul into dance, and now, at 23, her body had betrayed her. The doctor's words echoed in her mind. You'll walk again, but professional dancing? I'm sorry, Maya, that dream is over. She'd always believed that her identity lived in her body's ability to leap, spin, and tell stories through movement. But now, as tears streamed down her face, she wondered if she couldn't dance. Who was she? The room felt smaller with each passing moment, and the silence was deafening. Yet somewhere deep inside, beneath the crushing weight of grief, a tiny voice whispered, "This isn't the end. This is a beginning you haven't discovered yet." The weeks that followed were darker than Maya had ever imagined. Physical therapy was excruciating, not just because of the pain shooting through her back, but because every exercise reminded her of what she'd lost. Her friends from the dance company stopped calling not out of cruelty, but because they didn't know what to say. Her savings dwindled as medical bills piled up, and her tiny apartment felt like a prison. But the real battle wasn't physical, it was mental. Depression wrapped around her like a heavy blanket, making even simple tasks feel impossible. She'd wake up each morning and think, what's the point? Without dance, she felt purposeless, invisible, erased. Her mother would visit and find her still in bed at noon, curtains drawn, refusing to eat. You're giving up on yourself, her mother said one afternoon, her voice breaking. The Maya I know wouldn't let this define her. Those words stung because they were true, but Maya didn't know how to fight anymore. One rainy Tuesday, Maya's physical therapist, an older woman named Dr. Patel, did something unexpected. Instead of the usual exercises, she handed Maya a journal. Write, she said simply. Write about the pain. Write about the anger. Write about everything you can't say out loud. Maya almost laughed. I'm a dancer, not a writer. You were a dancer, Dr. Patel said gently but firmly. Now you get to discover who else you can be. Pain doesn't have to destroy you, Maya. It can reveal you, but only if you're brave enough to look at it. That night, Maya opened the journal. Her hand trembled as she wrote the first sentence. I am broken. But then something shifted. The words kept coming, and with them, a flood of emotions she'd been suppressing. She wrote about her childhood dreams, her father's death when she was 12, and how dance had been her way of feeling close to him. She wrote about fear, loss, and the terrifying freedom of not knowing what comes next. And in that vulnerability, she found something unexpected, a spark of power. 3 months later, Maya attended a support group for people recovering from traumatic injuries. She almost didn't go, but something in Dr. Patel's encouragement pushed her out the door. As she listened to others share their stories, she realized she wasn't alone in her struggle. There was Marcus, a former athlete learning to walk again after a car accident. There was Sophia, a musician who'd lost hearing in one ear. Each person carried their own broken pieces, yet here they were, showing up, fighting, transforming. When it was Maya's turn to speak, her voice shook. I thought pain was my enemy, she said, tears flowing freely. I thought losing dance meant losing myself. But I'm learning that pain isn't the opposite of power. Sometimes it's the pathway to it. Every time I write in my journal, every time I push through physical therapy, every time I choose to get out of bed even when I don't want to, that's power. Not the power I had before, but a deeper kind. The kind that comes from surviving what you thought would destroy you. The room was silent, and then Marcus began to clap. Others joined in, and in that moment, Maya understood her story wasn't over. It was just a different story than she'd planned. 6 months later, Maya launched a blog called Dancing Through the Broken. She wrote about her healing journey with raw honesty, and thousands of people found hope in her words. She discovered that, while her body could no longer perform on stage, her voice could reach far more people than her dancing ever had. She started speaking at rehabilitation centers and schools, teaching others that transformation doesn't mean forgetting who you were. It means becoming who you're meant to be next. Maya still had hard days. Her back still ached, and she still missed the feeling of flying across a stage. But she'd learned the secret that changes everything. Pain is not a period at the end of your story. It's a comma, a pause before the next chapter. You transform pain into power not by denying it or rushing past it, but by walking through it with courage, letting it crack you open so your light can finally shine through. And that, Maya realized, was the most beautiful dance of all the dance of becoming whole again. Not despite the breaking, but because of it.